Okay, so now I have my reference in Maya, and I created a locator, and I put this locator on the character's hips. And I'm going every 2 frames, I'm tracking the hips, and I put an arc tracker on there as well. So the reason why I'm doing this, I want to map out how the character is moving and just get that arc and idea of the spacing as well. So all the ease in and outs, and how the hips travel, because I'll be animating my character from the hips. So there it is. So as an animator, I need to push the timing, and how much he hangs in air, even the arcs a little bit more exaggerated. But here I'm looking at if you look at those little white dots, when those white dots are closer to each other, it means the motion will be slower there, just like the bouncing ball. As he's coming down, you can see that speed, how he speeds up, that red line there. And it gives me an idea how he will travel. Okay. So like I said, I need to push this arc, make it more appealing, cartoony, right? So now I brought in my character here, and this is just a simple character. The arms are in FK, and I'm just going to modify this rig a little bit. Let's get him in a nice pose here. Look at it from the top view as well. I have a hotkey that switches between top view, side view, and I'm just going to focus on the chest and the hips. Here I just created a locator, and this locator is attached to my character's hips, and as you can see, it will move all of my character, so it will move the legs as well. Right here, I'm going to that arc that I just created, and I'm mapping out the extremes of the up and down. And as you can see, I'm only keying translate Y, which is the up and down motion. Just like the bouncing ball. He's not even moving forward here. So here, I'm going there, checking, like playing it, see how it feels. And I create a locator there to tell me where the floor is. So whenever those feet are collapsing under that locator, it means he's squashing down. So here I'm kind of pushing the up and down a little bit more, but now it's kind of boring, and I will go there in the graph editor, and I will favorite my keys. So add more hang time, just like the bouncing ball. So here he will come down really fast. So I'll just add another key, drag that key down so he hangs at the bottom more. And just make this more interesting by adding more keys. You can do this in weighted tangents as well, but I like to add more keys. Now he looks more appealing up and down. So now let's work on him moving forward, and that is translate Z. So I will grab the extreme pose of the translate Z and move him forward. Just one key there and another key where he goes back to idle. So now I'm adding more keys in the graph editor. Here he's kind of like speeding up. I added another key there. And let's just compare this to my locator. So the locator I created. It's kind of similar, but mine is smoother. Let's just get those main changes from my locator. Here, let's add more ease into the last pose so he slows down. Cool. So I only added 2 keys here. The problem with this is if you look at it from the back view, there's no side-to-side motion, which is translate X. And to fix that, I'm going to create another locator right here. Let's move his head straight up. He's looking straight. And I'm just going to create another locator. And I'm going to put that locator where his eyesight is, right there. Now, if I rotate it side to side, you can see the hips translating. So instead of moving my character side to side the hips and counter animating the head, I'm just going to rotate my character, which is rotate Z, side to side, to get some translation on the hips. So I'm looking at my reference and I'm looking at this way where I'm looking at how much the head is leaning towards us or away from us. So you can see automatically I got motion on the hips side to side. But the head is pretty much stable. And the reason why I'm doing this is people who are trained or animals, when someone's looking at you, the head is pretty much locked in because that's where their eyesight is, right? So they want to keep that the eyes, the head stable looking at you, especially with fighters. So here we are. I'm adding more rotation, and this is rotate Y. I'm only keying rotate Y. And here I'm looking at like how much his back is facing away from us. And here he goes back to 0. And I'm playing it. Okay. So I'm kind of ignoring all the rest of the body while focusing only on the hips. So let's bake our character down. Oh, I'm adding more keys here actually. This is rotate Z, and I'm just going to bake the character back to that original controller, the one that I created at the hips, and get rid of that locator. Now let's work on the spine. Here, let's just hide the arms and the rest of the head. And let's just focus on the spine. So the spine is just going to support what the hips are doing. So I already animated some kind of motion with the hips, and the spine is just there to support the motion. Here he's leaning into that punch, so I'm just rotating the chest, just going straight ahead. Here he goes back to normal. Okay, so let's work on the arm. For the arm, I'm going to look at it from all different angles, even top. And I'm animating the shoulder right now. So the shoulder is, the arm is in FK, and I'm just moving the shoulder first. I'm working inside out of the body. So get a nice pose in there. Here, I want to get that punch pose. And I'm trying to do this with like minimal amount of controls each time. There's the punch. And I'm using translation as well with the shoulders to really sell the squash and stretch of that arm. Okay. So here's what it looks like in real time. Pretty close to the reference. but it was really fast to animate this. Now let's work on the upper arm. Same thing with the upper arm. Looking at the reference and just trying to get some more appealing poses to support the punch. Most of the motion was coming from the shoulder, and the upper arm and the lower arm are just going to support that punch. Remember, working inside out. Hips, chest, shoulder, upper arm, lower arm, hand. Now let's work on the lower arm. Let's drag that lower arm, hyperextend it when he punches, and then he goes back to that nice idle pose. Boom, there it is. Cool. Now let's work on the other arm. Straight ahead. Always look at your animation from different angles. I like to work from side view, top view, and front view. So I have a hotkey when I'm switching through those views, sometimes perspective view. So here we're getting those arms in, trying to get some nice poses with the arms. And I'm working very roughly. I will fix the arm poses later by turning these FK hands into IK, so I can really track my arcs. Here. Hyperextend that arm. Remember, when you're working in the lower arm, I'm only using one rotation because it's a hinge joint. For now, I'm just going to hide the legs, and I'll just do this demo with the upper body. So now let's use basic overwork scripts to turn that FK hand into IK. So now it's IK, and now I can really focus on the contact poses and everything. Let's put an arc tracker on there. And really focus on like the contact points with the object, because we were working very roughly, right? And we really want to sell those contacts, especially with game animation. Here I'm kind of like pushing the spacing, making that hit harder. And let's move on to the other arm. Let's turn that into IK. So with the basic over rig scripts, you can turn any FK animation into IK, and you can turn it back to FK. It's really cool. Let's put an arc tracker and get those hit poses in there where it's contacting the object. So I'm going to push these poses here a little bit more. So this is what I ended up with. Cool. So if you want to learn more about this workflow, I have a course where I teach layered and space switching and just animating more efficiently. So I'll put that in the link below, and thank you.